If you intend driving this magnificent 27-kilometer long pass, it's important to watch Part 1 first, as it contains the Google Earth orientation clips as well as important safety and tourism information. Part 2 of the Wolf River Pass covers the 3.9-kilometer long climb from the Madonna and Child Waterfall viewpoint to the main summit, as well as a section of the descent to the 7-kilometer point just north of the Zinkuka Forestry Station. Half of this distance is in the ascending mode and traverses grassy hillsides, recently harvested plantations, as well as a few local farms. The initial descent after the summit traverses dense forests, with the roadway often being inside a complete tunnel of trees. This section is arguably the most beautiful of the entire pass. From the waterfall view site, the road starts a long steep climb towards the next false summit at a gradient of approximately 1 in 11. The forests and plantations give way to sections of open grassland, and there are 9 easy bends to contend with as the heading is more southerly along this 4-kilometer section. At the 5-kilometer point, the road levels off briefly and descends over the catch wall of a farm dam. There's almost always livestock along this section, so be extra careful. Like all the roads in the Eastern Cape, this one too has a highly likely chance of having livestock on the road. In general, cattle behave in a predictable manner and are slow-moving and often will stand their ground, completely blocking the road. Goats and sheep tend to be more skittish and can make unpredictable moves. After the dam, the road starts climbing again at a much stiffer gradient of 1 in 12 and gets quite steep near the summit at 1 in 8. The summit can be seen from several kilometers away as a low point on the horizon of mountain ridges ahead. These are the Amatole Mountains, and the big peak on the left is the Hogsback Peak itself, with a summit of 1,836 meters. The summit point of 1,263 meters is reached at a multiple staggered intersection at the 7.2 kilometer point. Don't be tempted to drive along any of these side tracks, as they are all on the Department of Forestry property and are not open to the public without a valid permit. You can stop at the summit and gaze over the expansive views of hills, forests, rivers and lakes that spread out in a wide panorama to the east and to the south. Here one gets a good idea of the size and scale of the forests from this vantage point. It's common to see bushbuck and duikers along this upper section. From here you'll be facing a very long descent in excess of 20 kilometers, where 667 meters of altitude will be lost. If it's been raining, the next 5 kilometers might be muddy, and more so if logging operations are in progress, where heavy machinery and trucks mash the roads up for the lighter vehicles. The first 5 kilometers of the eastern descent are probably the best section of the entire pass. Here you have to contend with 41 bends, corners and curves, of which 11 are greater than 90 degrees and 3 are hairpin bends. Once you've had your fill of the views, the descent proper begins. From the summit point the road bends sharply away into the east, and almost immediately the forests close the road in. This section of the descent lasts for 2 kilometers and reaches a horseshoe bend with a sharp radius as the road follows the contours of a very deep ravine. The going is by necessity fairly slow. This is also the wettest section of the pass and the area you're most likely to find mud. The ravines are bisected by dozens of clear mountain streams smothered in ferns and moss as the road descends at a fairly comfortable gradient and is virtually enclosed within the forest canopy for the entire 5 kilometers. Here there are tree ferns and other water-hungry plants, with a small stream trickling under the road down the mountain slope to become a waterfall about a kilometer further downstream. The scenery is exquisite and reminiscent of the Knysna forests as the road twists and turns in sympathy with dozens of small ravines and streams. It's distinctly wet inside these forests, and the road remains quite muddy for most of the year. Once through the horseshoe bend, the heading changes back into the south as the road continues descending at a gentle gradient, faithfully following the contours of the mountain. If you intend driving this pass, be sure to watch parts 3, 4 and 5, which cover the remainder of this long pass, as well as a feature on the beautiful Sandile Dam.